Welcome back to my channel, friends. Today we gonna discuss about the top 5 victory of USA.
Number 1, the American Revolutionary War, which occurred from 1775 to 1783, also known as the U.S. War of Independence, was a pivotal conflict that established the United States of America as a sovereign nation. It was fought between the 13 American colonies and Great Britain. Causes of the war. The roots of the conflict lay in tensions between the British government and the American colonists over issues such as taxation without representation, restrictions on trade, and infringements on colonial self-government. The major battles of this war was Battle of Lexington and Concord. 1775 considered the opening engagement of the war. It marked the beginning of armed conflict between British troops and colonial militia. Battle of Bunker Hill. 1775. Although technically a British victory, the battle demonstrated that the colonists could stand up to British regulars. Saratoga Campaign. 1777. A turning point in the war, with American forces led by General Horatio Gates defeating the British Army under General John Burgoyne. This victory persuaded France to formally enter the war on the side of the Americans. Siege of Yorktown. 1781. The decisive battle of the war, where American and French forces, led by General George Washington, laid siege to the British Army under General Cornwallis. Cornwallis surrendered, effectively ending major hostilities in the war. George Washington, Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army and later the first President of the United States. His leadership and strategic decisions were crucial to the American victory. The American Revolutionary War had far-reaching consequences, not only for the United States, but also for the broader world. It established the United States as a sovereign nation and set the stage for the drafting of the U.S. Constitution. Additionally, it inspired other independence movements around the world and influenced the development of democratic ideals and principles. Number 2. American Civil War. 1861 to 1865. The American Civil War, which lasted from 1861 to 1865, was a defining moment in United States history. The causes for this war was the issue of slavery and its expansion into new territories acquired by the United States. Other contributing factors included economic differences between the industrial North and agrarian South, states' rights, and political tensions. Following the election of Abraham Lincoln as president in 1860, several Southern states seceded from the Union, forming the Confederate States of America. The Confederate States viewed Lincoln's election as a threat to their institution of slavery and their way of life. Abraham Lincoln, President of the United States during the Civil War, who sought to preserve the Union and ultimately issued the Emancipation Proclamation, freeing enslaved people in Confederate-held territories. Jefferson Davis, President of the Confederate States of America. Ulysses S. Grant, Commanding General of the Union Army, known for his aggressive tactics and eventual defeat of Confederate forces. Robert E. Lee, Commanding General of the Confederate Army, known for his military skill and leadership. The war concluded with the surrender of Confederate forces in April 1865. Reconstruction efforts followed, aiming to rebuild the South and integrate formerly enslaved individuals into society as free citizens. However, Reconstruction was fraught with challenges, including resistance from white supremacist groups and the struggle for civil rights for African Americans. Number 3. World War II, which lasted from 1939 to 1945, was one of the most significant conflicts in human history, involving nations across the globe. Causes: World War II was triggered by a combination of factors, including the aftermath of World War I, the rise of totalitarian regimes in Germany, Italy, and Japan, territorial expansionism, and unresolved issues from the Treaty of Versailles. Major battles and campaigns of this war was: European theater. The Allies, led by the United States, the United Kingdom, and the Soviet Union, fought against Nazi Germany and its Axis allies. Key battles included the Battle of Stalingrad, the Battle of Normandy, D-Day, and the Battle of Berlin. Pacific theater. The United States, primarily, fought against Japan in the Pacific Ocean region. Major battles included Pearl Harbor, the Battle of Midway, and the island-hopping campaigns in the Pacific. Major battles and campaigns. European theater. The Allies, led by the United States, the United Kingdom, and the Soviet Union, fought against Nazi Germany and its Axis allies. Key battles included the Battle of Stalingrad, the Battle of Normandy, D-Day, and the Battle of Berlin. Pacific theater. The United States, primarily, fought against Japan in the Pacific Ocean region. Major battles included Pearl Harbor, the Battle of Midway, and the island-hopping campaigns in the Pacific. The war in the Pacific continued after the surrender of Germany, with the United States leading the effort against Japan. The dropping of atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945 led to Japan's surrender on September 2, 1945, marking the end of World War II. World War II resulted in significant loss of life, widespread destruction, and geopolitical realignments. It led to the formation of the United Nations, aimed at preventing future conflicts, and shaped the post-war order, including the division of Europe and the emergence of the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union. Number 4. The Vietnam War, which lasted from 1954 to 1975, was a complex and protracted conflict that involved Vietnam, along with its neighboring countries, and the United States. The Vietnam War was rooted in the struggle for Vietnamese independence, and the division of Vietnam into Communist North Vietnam and anti-Communist South Vietnam after the French colonial rule ended in 1954. The conflict intensified due to Cold War tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union, with the U.S. supporting South Vietnam and the Communist North Vietnamese forces backed by the Soviet Union and China. Ho Chi Minh, leader of the Communist movement in Vietnam and founder of the Democratic Republic of Vietnam, North Vietnam. Ngo Dinh Diem, president of South Vietnam from 1955 to 1963, supported by the United States until his assassination in a coup. Lyndon B. Johnson and Richard Nixon, U.S. presidents who oversaw significant escalations and de-escalations of U.S. involvement in the Vietnam War. Vo Nguyen Giap, military commander of North Vietnam, known for his strategic leadership during the conflict. The Vietnam War had profound and lasting impacts on Vietnam, the United States, and the global community. It resulted in significant loss of life and destruction in Vietnam, as well as environmental damage from the widespread use of herbicides like Agent Orange. The war deeply divided American society, leading to widespread protests and demonstrations against U.S. involvement. The Vietnam War also influenced U.S. foreign policy, leading to a more cautious approach to military interventions and increased scrutiny of government actions. Number 5. The American Indian Wars were a series of conflicts between various Native American tribes and European colonists, as well as later the United States government, spanning from the 17th to the 19th centuries. The arrival of European settlers in North America led to tensions and conflicts with indigenous peoples, stemming from competition for land, resources, and cultural differences. Conflicts during this period included the Pequot War, 1636 to 1638, in New England and King Philip's War, 1675 to 1678, in New England, both of which involved Native American alliances resisting European encroachment. As European colonies expanded westward, conflicts with Native American tribes intensified. The French and Indian War, 1754 to 1763, fought between Britain and France, also involved Native American tribes aligning with one side or the other. Pontiac's War, 1763 to 1766, erupted after the French and Indian War, with Native American resistance to British policies and encroachment, particularly in the Great Lakes region. As settlers moved further west, conflicts between Native American tribes and the United States government escalated, particularly on the Great Plains. The Dakota War of 1862 in Minnesota, the Red Cloud's War, 1866 to 1868, the Great Sioux War of 1876 to 1877, including the Battle of the Little Bighorn, and the Nez Perce War, 1877, are among the notable conflicts during this period. The Wounded Knee Massacre in 1890 marked one of the final armed conflicts between the United States Army and Native American tribes, resulting in the deaths of hundreds of Lakota Sioux, including women and children. The American Indian Wars resulted in the displacement, death, and cultural disruption of countless Native American tribes, with profound and enduring consequences for indigenous peoples in North America. Treaties and agreements made between the United States government and Native American tribes often led to broken promises, further loss of land, and social and economic marginalization. The legacy of the American Indian Wars continues to influence Native American relations with the U.S. government and shape contemporary indigenous activism and advocacy efforts.